Hi, I'm Alex, and today we're going to look at solving equations. So this is to do with dealing with situations like these. So the left side of this equation is kind of like this situation in that we're x with this good guy here, and we're being surrounded by these bad guys. And let's get some red. These bad guys are here and here, and we want to get rid of these people here. So the way we do that is by neutralizing them or doing the opposite to them. And this is kind of our little clue as to what to do. So let's give them some names. So let's call this guy +5, -2, -3, and +8. This is like the first round of bad guys. So in order to neutralize them, we have to do the opposite to them. So we change the sign. So what's the opposite of plus? It's minus. So the opposite of +5 is -5. And whenever we do that -5, it cancels out and he dies. So we do the same thing with the -2. What's the opposite of minus? Well, it's plus. So we do +2. And it cancels out and boom. -3, well, that's +3. Boom. And +8, well, that's -8. So, boom. So that's how we neutralize them. Let's relate this to an actual equation. We're going to build up to solving that. How about this? So this is us again. We're normally called X or Y or some sort of letter. And any other number on our side of the equation, they're bad. We've got to get rid of them. So, like we did with these bad guys, it's +3. What's the opposite of plus? Minus. So we do a -3. And then when we do the opposite, they cancel out. Now, the important step to remember after that is that whatever you do to one side, we did -3, you do to the other side. So we've got a -3 on this other side. So when we clean it up a bit, it's x is 5 -3, and that's 2. So our final answer is that x is 2. And our aim in general is to try and get the letter equals a number, just like this, and that would be your final answer when you're writing in an exam. So let's see what our process looks like properly. So here's another example. X -2 is 7. So this is us, remember, and this -2 is our bad guy. So we do the opposite to the bad guy. Opposite of minus is plus. So we +2. By doing the opposite, we neutralize it. Dies. And so that's step 1. And then step 2, do the same to the other side. So we've got a +2 on this side. So we've got to do a +2 on this side. So that means x is, remember this is gone. There's nothing left there anymore. X is 7 +2, and that's 9. So our final answer is x is 9. Note how I write my x's like backwards c's, so they don't look like times's. Okay, so that's the adding and minusing types of questions. Now, round 2 is kind of a little bit trickier, and this is the timesing and dividing ones. Now, they're a bit sneaky in the way they write it. They don't write x times 2. No, that would be too easy. They write 2x. So we just need to remember to translate 2x is x times 2, 5x is x times 5, x times 5, etc. And with dividing, they'd write x line 2 like a fraction line, but that actually just means x divided by 2. If you think that this division sign actually just looks like a fraction, so you can just think to put the x goes on top and the 2 goes on the bottom there, and it's the same thing as that. So a divided by b is just a line b. So those two are exactly the same. Okay, so we know how to translate the kind of sneaky bad guy information. Now we need to get this into an equation. So let's say our equation is 2x is 4. So translate it. 2x means x times 2, and that is 4. And now this looks a bit more normal now. This is us, and the times 2 is our bad guy. So what's the opposite of times? Well, that's divide. So we divide it by 2. Step 2. And then by doing the opposite, that cancels out. And then step 3, whatever we do to one side, divided by 2, we do to the other side. So we divide by 2 on this side to get x is 4 divided by 2. Or you can write it as 4 line 2. Remember, it's exactly the same. And that is 2. So 2 is our answer. Okay, so let's let's now do a dividey one. So let's do a dividey one like x divided by 5 is 4. So step 1, bad guys can be sneaky. We need to translate this into this. So x line 5 means x divided by 5. X divided by 5 is 4. And now remember us, bad guy to try and get rid of. Step 2, we neutralize it. So what's the opposite of divide? It's times. So just change the sign, x times 5, and that cancels out. And then step 3, do the same to the other side. So if we're timesing by 5 on this side, we've got a times by 5 on this side. So x is 4 times 5, and that is 20. So our final answer is that x is 20. Okay, so now let's try and put all of that into the kind of question that we saw at the start. So let's keep to the original question. 2x plus 7 is 17. Now, we've kind of got two bad guys going on, the 2 and the plus 7. Now, remember how we dealt with the plus and minuses first because they're weaker? We're going to deal with this weaker enemy first. So, how do we deal with a plus 7? Well, we do the opposite to it. What's the opposite of plus? Minus. So we minus 7 here, and that neutralizes it. And then whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So we minus 7 to one side, so we've got a minus 7 to the other side. So we end up with 2x. That thing doesn't change, 2x. This thing's gone, there's nothing left. Equals 17 minus 7. And 17 minus 7 is 10. So 2x is 10. We're getting closer now. Now we've only got one bad guy left. And then we've got to remember, translate it into something a bit more normal looking. So 2x means x times 2. Just remember, when things are touching like that, there's an invisible time sign there. That like touching means timesing. So we've got an x times 2 there equals 10. And that's our bad guy to try and get rid of. So opposite of times 2, divide by 2. So they neutralize. That's your step 2. And then your step 3, doing the same to the other side. You neutralize. Well, you do the divide by 2 on the other side. So x is 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So your final answer is that x is 5. And that's it. Okay, so now it's your turn. Let's try and deal with. I'll give you have a go at these questions. So I've kind of been a bit mean here. Instead of X, I've put a Y. Just remember that it can be any letter, really. It's like saying we can have any name. We can be Mr. X, we can be Mr. Y, Mrs. A, whatever. So pause it and give it a go, and I'll give you the answers in a second. Okay, so for the first one, we're minus 2 to both sides, so X is 4. For the second one, we're adding 4 to both sides. So x is 8 add 4, which is 12. For the third one, we're timesing by 3. Remember, that's divide by 3, so we times by 3. So y is 4 times 3, which is 12. And for this one, remember that's 2 times a, so we divide by 2 to both sides, so a is 12 divided by 2, so a is 6. And let's give you a final. So now you've done this kind of round one, this will be your final question, so give it a go, and we'll go through it. Just pause the video. Okay, so remember this is our weaker enemy, so we're going to try and get rid of this -2 first. Opposite of -2, +2, neutralize it. Do the same to the other side, +2 on the other side. X divided by 4 is 8 plus 2, which is 10. Remember, let's translate this x line 4 into x divided by 4, so we can see the bad guy a bit easier. X divided by 4 is 10. And then do the opposite of divide by 4, times by 4. That neutralizes. And then do the same on the other side, step 3. X is 10 times 4, which is 40. And that's your final answer. That's it. Well done.